Hey guys, sorry, Earthwalk Criminal. I'll do a little video here on just some sawing tips and techniques for sawing. Some problems that a lot of people run into, and they don't realize what could be causing the problem when it comes to sawing. And this doesn't matter if you're using, you know, any particular saw. The same thing happens on a lot, any saw really. But it's the problem with pinching, and what causes that is, you know, the way we saw our wood. What happens when we saw wood? You know, as you're making your cut, you know, the wood itself is going to bend in a certain direction, and there's ways that we can, you know, if we're not paying attention to how we're sawing. Like for instance, I have this piece of wood sitting like this. If I start sawing on it like this, as it is, because it's pressing down this way, as I cut and that blade goes down into the wood, it's actually going to pinch up on the blade. Alright, that's going to make it more difficult for me to saw, and it could also bend and damage the blade. I actually was going to do a demonstration of this, and you know, with most of my videos I like to do a little pre-run before I do it. And doing that, you know, saying, okay, cool, let me make this piece of wood, it's a little bit thicker than this, but let me make this piece of wood bend, you know, so it catches my saw. And when I did that, it actually did catch and took the tip off my saw. I was too happy about that, and I'm not going to demonstrate the bad way of doing it again. But what happens is, you know, like I said, when we saw, when we put down, you know, it's going to begin pinching on that saw. You have to be cognizant of where, you know, how you're positioning your wood and how you're making your cut. Now, say I was up on a big log and pushing down and cutting this way, same thing, it's going to pinch. Whereas if I was cutting on the opposite direction, it wouldn't be pinching because of gravity. As I'm holding the wood, is opening up the cut rather than pinching it closed. So when you go to saw your wood, you want to make sure that you have it up and off a piece of, you know, up off your focal point. This is your focal point, so anything that's putting pressure down here, it's going to pinch it closed this way. Whereas gravity, if I'm cutting here, gravity is actually going to open up the saw, open up the cut as we're cutting it. So that's one thing to keep in mind that when we're cutting. And this doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of saw you're using. It's just the basic physics behind cutting, and what a lot of people have a problem with. You know, and the same goes as if I'm just laying it flat, or if I'm laying it on two pieces of pieces, like if I have it on two stumps, cutting it again, it's going to be pushing down. Whereas if I was cutting it from underneath, it'd be opening up. You know? But one thing that we can do to make sawing a little bit easier when at our campsite is by making a little bit of a sawhorse. Now you can make these any size. Some people make them with huge logs and have big poles that come up. But I'm just making a little one here. I'm at my little outside little bushcraft working area. So I'm just making a little one that I can use getting down on my knees. And all I'm doing is, you know, I got myself a log, and I got these I cut 4 pieces of wood, and they're all the same length. And then sharpen in each point. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side here. But what I'm doing is I'm making myself a little sawhorse so I can get my wood up off the ground, so I can cut it where there's no weight or anything pushing down on it to keep it and make it pinch my saw. So I'm going to go ahead and put the points on these 2 pieces of wood. Like I said, I cut all these the same lengths, and then I just took an axe and put a point down the end just so I can hammer it into the ground. And you want to ideally get it as level as you possibly can, so it's just a little bit more easier to work. You want them to be about the same height. Get them in there firmly so it's not shaking. This gives you a stable platform to do your sawing on. And now I have a stable platform, so I can take a piece of wood, whether it's a piece that small or even a bigger piece, and more easily saw it, you know, the ends that are sticking off. And I can then also come in here and saw from underneath. You know, if I got a short piece like this I want to cut in half, you know, I can easily do that from underneath. And then the downward gravity, tongue-tied today, the gravity is actually going to be pushing that cut open. It's going to be opening up this way, and anything on the ends is going to be opening up the other way. So that's just a little sawhorse, quick and easy thing to make. You know, whether it's out in the woods at your camp, you know, if you're making a sort of permanent camp where you're going to be there for a while, where you know you're going to be cutting some wood, you know, make it easier on yourself. Build yourself a little sawhorse. It doesn't take much time at all to make, and it'll just help ease your work day when it comes to cutting wood, processing down wood. I'm Sergeant Riffle.